Hello, it's another Move TV with me, Graham Cofe, and today I'm speaking to Scott. Hi, Scott.
How you doing, Graham? Thank you very much for having me.
So, Scott Whitney, where are you from and what is All for Inclusion? Tell me a little bit about that.
Okay, so I guess if we're looking at who Scott is and where All for Inclusion come from, it really overlaps. So when we went into COVID lockdown, my doctor would have said fit bill of health. I I was back running again. I was doing exercise and in the best shape I've been in for a while. We come into August, and in August 2020, I felt like I had some pain in my back, and I thought my eldest daughter, she's just taken a gaming chair away from my home office, and I'm on like a breakfast bar stool. It must be because of that. I leave it 2 or 3 weeks, and it's still there. And I think, right, I've got to make a doctor's appointment. So I make a doctor's appointment, and one of my children catches COVID, so it cancels that down. Can't go to see the doctor, and in the time between going to see the doctor and that initial appointment, um, I have bladder problems, so I'm, in the best description possible, I'm wetting myself 3 or 4, 5, 6 times a day. But the scary thing is, I have no idea that I'm doing it. I have no feeling. The only way I know is if I go to get up, I can see there's a puddle on the chair,
Right.
or I can feel my t-shirt wet against my belly. Um, so as soon as I go to the doctors, I just think, oh, it's going to be quite simple, quite straightforward to fix. And the first thing they do is say, right, straight to A&E. So straight to A&E, have MRIs, and they say you're not allowed to move. Straight onto a ward. You're not allowed to move. Potentially, if we feel that if you've got what we think you've got, you could almost be paralysed at any moment, which, suddenly going to the doctor's and I'm thinking, hang on, I'm a fit guy. It's
Yeah.
hearing that.
One minute you think
Luckily,
this could be fixed with antibiotics or something, and yeah,
yeah, yeah, adult equivalent of Calpol. Um, and and yeah, so luckily it wasn't what it was. That condition, what they was looking for was something called cauda equina, but so they sent me in to have lots of other tests and things like that. So that's how it the initial kind of click and the initial moment. So going for all the tests, and then different things start happening. So I then actually lost the ability to go toilet at all. So I had to have a catheter fitted. Um, I lost the feeling, the sensation, and anything. So in my left leg. So I still can't stand on my left leg. I still have no feeling, or if I do have feeling, it's like someone stabbing it, or it's a burning sensation, or something like that. It's not a nice thing. Um, Quickly, then I had sepsis. I was in hospital with sepsis. I lost the ability to swallow, so I couldn't swallow for 3 to 4 months. I have jerks or spasms, and that happens all the time, especially at night. So that doesn't help you get to sleep. And these spasms are so powerful. If I'm lying on the bed, they could throw me off the bed. So I've got to have like a bed rail to be able to stay in. My heart rate was going at one point up to about 240 quite consistently. So every time that happened, it was straight into A&E, straight to resus. Lots of things were going on. Didn't have a clue what was happening, and it took. So going through that next year, I got to September, October, and actually in Move, in my head, I had an idea, and in Move itself, I just spurted the idea out, which was in the month of January, I'm going to do 3 marathons, the equivalent of 3 marathons in my wheelchair, and 6 marathons using an arm bike. And I think the reason I said it out loud in Move was because then it's real. I've said it. 15 people know I've said it, and I'm committed to it. But not only am I committed to it, I've got 15 people who are committed to helping me do it. I can't back out now. what I should have probably done was actually have used one of those arm exercise bikes before actually spurting it out, because then I'd have realised how hard it was going to be,
Yeah.
and I would have probably changed the distances, but I would have still done the challenge. So then, going through that, I raised about just shy of £5,000, including the gift aid tax, for a charity called the Brain Charity, who help with all neurological conditions. I had a chat with another Move member, Sean Liddell, and Sean said to me, Sean does well-being and he's mental health first aider, suicide prevention first aider, amazing guy. And Sean said to me, I just want you to be aware that there's going to be a dip. So when you finish in January and you go into February, you are going to have a big dip. Your mental health might dive a little bit because this massive event you've been going for is now gone. Your life, as it is now gone. So,
and at this point, Scott, you knew what you had at this point?
No.
You still didn't.
This is why I raised it for the Brain Charity, because they look at every neurological condition. So we knew it was neurological. We didn't know what it was. So Sean said that. So I blame Sean for All for Inclusion, because straight after that, that's kind of where the thought process of All for Inclusion sort of came about. Which is really, All for Inclusion is we give a voice to disabled people who do not have a voice. We give them a platform through our podcast to be able to put their voice out there. We might be their voice for them in some occasions. And it's a community as well for disabled people who may be lonely or who may have questions to ask. And that community part came from one time when I was coming out of hospital after an admission. I struggled to get a taxi home, but the bus is right outside the hospital and it takes me right outside my house almost. Not too far to go. So I thought, right, I'll use my wheelchair. I'll just get on the bus and go home. I didn't have a clue how to get down a pavement, whether I should go forward or backwards in my wheelchair. It's a simple thing, but because every other time when I've been out with people, there's been someone with me, they've supported me up and down the wheelchair, up and down the pavements, the curbs. So I thought, right.
No one had drawn you an infographic for that then?
No. So I just thought, wouldn't it be awesome to ask someone who's in a similar situation a question? So that's part of the reason why we do our peer-to-peer support groups and have the community. The other part is, disabled people in general don't get out and about as much as able-bodied people. And actually, when I'm saying this, I'm more referring to physically disabled people, because wheelchair users is 8% of people with a disability. So you're actually looking at, there's people who join the groups who are neurodiverse, etc. as well. But I was looking at it from my perspective at the time. I wanted someone who with a physical disability who could assist me with mobility and tricks of the trade. So that's where our community section came from, and we've got some people who come on a fortnightly basis consistently and show up and support each other. A lot of the people are potentially could be lonely as well, that we're giving them a fortnightly place to come and discuss and chat, which I think is really important, because saying it bluntly, loneliness is a killer. It can then lead to different conditions as well. So that's how All for Inclusion started. So we're now we've got 2 podcasts we produce. We got 2 different peer-to-peer support groups. One which is fortnightly, one which is monthly. We've got monthly webinars which are amazing. We have 3 guests with lived experience who come on every single month and give their time to us. And we're starting to really try to now engage with businesses and get businesses all in one room together to say, right, we want to talk about accessibility. We're scared about it. We've got that fear factor. We're no longer ignorant. 20 years ago, we might have been ignorant to the fact, but as a business now, we're not ignorant. We are scared of saying the wrong thing. We're scared of doing the wrong thing. So instead of saying the wrong thing or doing the wrong thing, we're going to do nothing, because at least that way we won't be in trouble. So we're trying to bring these people together with people with lived experience to be able to come up with solutions each month, sending them PDF copies of these solutions at the end of each month. Always a guest speaker there, and always a sponsor there as well, who will generally be someone who provides a service in that area or to businesses, and they're then able to then speak to the businesses there, but the businesses will be able to understand what services are out there for them, because I feel at the moment that they don't know, and that's an issue.
Now tell me, look, your podcast, you've had some great guests on. Who's been your, without upsetting everybody else, but who's been your favourite guest or favourite guests on that? Just in terms of the subject matter, maybe, or what you learned.
The worst guest was when I did a solo episode. That was terrible. Okay, so if we look at people, I think the story behind Catherine Paler-Bent is something that me and Kat worked together. That was something that was really eye-opening. So that was an incredible story. You got Shirley.
Well, just explain. So Catherine has a couple of businesses.
Okay, yeah. So Kat gave birth to her son. When she went to pick him out of the cot, she injured her back. She needed an operation on her back. So she was in hospital, and the NHS, with the operation, it wasn't successful. But they didn't tell her straight away. She was just left in the bed for a long, long time without really telling her. And what kind of makes it worse, I feel, is that this was the ward that she actually worked on. When we go into a lot of the detail, then she's got an autistic son, and she recognized lots of these traits early on, and she kept saying to the school about them, and the school was blaming her child's behavior on the fact that Kat was in a wheelchair, not the fact that he could have been autistic. So eventually someone was in assessing another child and said, when are we coming back in to assess this child? And the teacher said to them, no, you don't need to assess him. It's fine. He behaves like that because his mum's disabled. She kept fighting. Yeah, he's autistic. So there's, like you said, there's a few layers to that one. So her story's incredible. I was saying about Shirley's story, diagnosed autistic at aged 49. So to me, you look at how many people out there who have autism, who have ADHD, who have dyslexia, potentially lots of different neurodiverse hidden disabilities that do not know about it. So they've gone through school and they've done their whole education piece, and they've not been given the right tools to be able to make that better. They go through social life and they're not given the right tools. They then go into to start work and they don't fit in. And this really, really opened my eyes. So I used to, as an employer, as a hiring manager is probably the best word to say. As a hiring manager, I used to look at people's CVs and see, you've had 12 jobs in 3 years, 4 years. You are a job hopper. That would almost be how I and lots of people would look at it.
And they do exist. They do exist, to be fair.
They do exist, yeah. Not saying they don't. But actually, when I've spoken to lots of different autistic people, they've moved to lots of different jobs because they didn't fit in and they wasn't given the support, and they felt, in actual fact, it wasn't necessarily the support that wasn't given; it was actually that things went against them. So they moved from job to job and just continually didn't feel like they fitted in. So, you know, if I was if I knew that back then, you know, I would be asking lots of more different questions to be thinking, why was it you moved from this job to this job? And if it's because they don't fit in, I wouldn't be trying to self-diagnose this person and say, "Oh, you're autistic or you have ADHD or this." That's not my job to do. But what I would be looking at doing is say, "So why didn't you feel like you fitted in?" Well, actually, it was because I was in the middle of a call center, and sometimes the noise it it gives me a sort of brain fog, and I just need 5 minutes to go outside. So then I might be thinking, so what would the solutions be to that? Or actually, if I was just allowed 5 minutes off my phone to clear my head, or I know normal practice is to put a new starter in the middle of the call center, but if I can be somewhere on the outside a little bit, then I might not be impacted by that noise. And you're then starting to look at putting into play solutions that are free.
Absolutely. And for me, as someone that's come out of the workplace adjustment sector, this was always really fundamental, because I often used to go and see people, and in the first instance, I was asked to go and see them because of a physical manifestation of a condition. And it might be that they had a specific back issue, or they had a specific musculoskeletal disorder, etc. And that was identifiable. And there was even a condition provided to that. But actually, when you went to see them, and this is why I spent so many years re-educating myself and getting more qualifications in different areas, when you went to see them, you realize that, yeah, this person had carpal tunnel, say, or this person had, some other form of tendonitis, or they had fibromyalgia, for example. But actually, there was more often than not, there was some other thing at play there. And it may have been that, they sat in a particular way because they couldn't see properly, or they worked in a particular way because their cognition wasn't right, and therefore, maybe they were dyslexic, and therefore they overworked in some areas in order to compensate, or their mental health wasn't great, and therefore the way that they thought about the work, or the way that they thought about the environment that they were in, was different from other people. And and until we start seeing people as a whole, holistically, and not as a particular label, and we start dealing with just the barriers, and what do we need to put into place to help this person. Let's talk about Move for a minute. When did you first start coming to Move?
So my first meeting would have been about October 2020. I came to Move, and no, it would have been before that, just before. And I came to Move. I phoned up Mark before, and I said, "Look, I just want to check this is right for me. Can we go through some of the what's going to happen?" I'd been recommended Move by about 4 or 5 different people who phoned up to say, "We've spoken to you. You're ideal for Move. There's no one else in Move who works with insurance. You will get a lot out of it, but you're the type of person that's going to bring a lot to it as well." So here I am, all full of commitment. I speak to Mark beforehand, and I say I'll definitely be back next week. And then my second meeting would have been about 8 months later.
Wow.
And the reason for that was because I'd become unwell.
Yeah.
But during this whole period of being unwell, I haven't really told anyone apart from the people closest to me because I was still processing it.
Yeah.
But I realised when I then came back to work again, because again, this period I was on furlough for a while. When I came back to work again, I wanted to be out there. I wanted people to know what challenges I face and different things like that. So so yes, my first move meeting, I told my in the mastermind section of 5 to 6 minutes, I told my story, and I think a lot of people were kind of taken aback from it. And Mark and Andrea would, whether they recalled when I signed up that actually I am the slightly loud insurance broker that was on the call sort of 8 months before or not, who promised he would definitely be back and has since probably only ever missed meetings when he's been in hospital, or has actually taken meetings and been a part of meetings from the hospital ward and the hospital bed still at times, was the same person. So yeah, so I've been in Move really since, let's say, June 21, but my first meeting would have been October 20.
It's really interesting as a story, because what was it about Move that made you feel that you could open up to this group? There must have been something.
Yeah, so when I spoke to Mark said to me, you might want to write a question down for the mastermind, but a lot of people who come to the first meeting will maybe write a question down, but never actually ask that question. And that was exactly for me. I just felt it's a safe place. I felt like actually, if I'm going to meet some of these people, like now we're on a call and you do not know, you wouldn't see from this call that I'm in a wheelchair right now. You only see upper body. So if I meet people, I don't want 6 months down the line to be for people to go, oh, you're in a wheelchair. I didn't know that, and it's 6 months down the line. I just thought I feel in a place where it was safe enough. The environment was right to just throw it straight out there, and then I'm not after 6 months having that sort of thought and that feeling of going, do you know what? It's really awkward now to say, oh, by the way, as able-bodied here, but below here, I have a disability. So it took away that stress for me. I think if I came to Move and I knew I wasn't coming back, I might not have said it, but I knew straight away that I was going to be coming back.
Is it safe to say that Move's actually helped your self-confidence through this time?
Yeah, it gave it back to me. I'd always been self-confident. But it gave it back to me. It allowed me to see that people can see Scott. They don't see the wheelchair. They see Scott. Um, it, it allowed me to be open about things. What it's actually really helped me with is be able to find techniques in and beyond that have helped me with work and have helped me socially and have helped me relax. So when I say with work, there's been different people have asked questions, and I think, I wish I thought of that question, but it's brilliant you've asked it because I've got the answer now, and I've still got my question to ask. So I feel like it's buy one get one free here. And then socially, Move have supported me in a number of different ways. So I attended networking. They came to a bucket collection I did on behalf of the brain charity outside Sale Sharks. It was Move provided members for that. And then when I say about relaxation, like I told you about the pain I had and how hard it was in that period of time. I wasn't in that period when I was in Move. I was past that, but you don't have a period of pain and then no pain. Doesn't happen. I have pain every single day. It's just the degree of pain. But people were offering different techniques and support on how to get myself in a position to be able to sleep, because sleep's so important, and without it, you don't function at 100%. So Move was giving me suggestions and tips to help me relax, to help me sleep, and then gave me tips to start the day as well. So I'm not starting the day thinking about pain, and I'm not straight away going to my phone when I wake up and I'm in the same cycle again. It's have a book beside you, read 2 or 3 pages, set your alarm a little bit earlier. Well, that one hasn't gone down quite so well for me. But having something to do, so I wake up and I think before my carer comes here, I can, if I've got a book beside me, I can read a couple of pages, and then carer comes, I'm ready to go. Day starts. But in that period of waking up and between the carer, I'll still achieve something. I've not just sat staring at the wall, counting the seconds down in my head. People say you go to networking and everyone's really tight and it's a real support group, but actually, how often do you actually just pick up a phone or ping a text and know the answers right at the end of the phone? I don't think that's at every networking group. I don't think that's at every business support group, business development group. But it's definitely a move.
It certainly is. Scott, it's been great talking to you today. Thanks for opening up about your journey over the last couple of years. Let's wish you all the best in the future for Inclusion. Love the hat, by the way. I think you should just dip your head slightly so everyone will see it.
Yeah, so you've got the All for Inclusion logo. By the way, that was designed by a Move member. And then you've got the Roman numeral 4, and the company who produces it are Rex Club with their logo there, and on the sticker. I'll leave the hat off now. But again, that was someone that was a business that was referred to me. So lots of things on that hat, and it represents a lot of different things.
If you'd like to meet Scott, actually spend some time with him, find out a little bit more about what he does in All for Inclusion, Thursday mornings are the time to meet with Scott and myself, because I go to Thursday morning as well, in Move every week at 10 o'clock. And all you need to do is sign up, and we'll put the link for that in underneath this when it goes out. So there you go. Just click that link, come on through, meet us. Join in. If you're that kind of person that Scott talked about, if you've got as much to give as you want to receive, and actually you feel that you can help build a community of support around other people and take from that community as well, we'd like to see you there. So until next time, thanks for watching more Move TV.
Thank
From
you,
Scott and me. Bye-bye.
See you later.